Have you ever lain awake at night, staring at the ceiling, asking yourself, what went wrong? Why did she pull away when you gave her everything? Why did she lose interest after saying you were the one? If you've been broken, confused, or left in silence, this video might just feel like a mirror to your soul. And if you're serious about understanding women, not from a place of hate or manipulation, but through the lens of Stoic philosophy and inner strength, then stay with me until the end. Because what I'm about to tell you could change your love life forever. Before we dive in, take a second to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and watch till the very end, not for me, but for you. Because if you've ever been left on red, ghosted, or lied to, this video might give you answers you've searched for, and the peace you've been craving. Let's start with the truth nobody wants to say out loud. 1. Emotional uncertainty is her kryptonite. Is there a particular moment when her gaze changed toward you? Perhaps the radiance in her eyes had faded. She started sending shorter texts. Calls subsided. Instead of facing the reality, you lied and told yourself it was work, family, stress, etc. The truth, though, is that certainty undermines allure. Mysteries have a profound attraction for women, particularly those with high emotional intelligence. Being rooted in your own presence and mission is more important than playing games. If you're always saying yes, dear, and are too easy to read, you'll become emotionally secure but sadly boring. Because it is painful, no one brings it up. Your belief that love required selflessness led you to offer her your heart on a silver platter. Yet polarity is necessary for genuine love, magnetic love at its finest. Driving, focused, and completely unexpected, you were once an enigma. That power, though, that is what caused her expression to change the moment you two crossed paths. Perhaps, though, you became complacent over the years. She became your world because of you. The chemistry she had with him faded as a result. It's not that she's bad or uninterested. That's because the unknown, the emotional ups and downs, are fertile ground for feminine energy. The Stoics refer to this level of calmness as detachment, not coldness. You feel profound affection, yet you remain unpossessed. Then how does that impact you personally? Stop chasing is the meaning. Just start being. Make an impact with just being here. Make your absence known. You're not a sap who needs to be pampered. Your actions speak louder than words when you remain silent. You are a man with purpose. Take a second. Shut your eyes and ask yourself this. When was the last time you put yourself first? I don't mean that selfishly, but in a way that reignites the fire she once felt. The fire of a guy who understood who he was, even without her affirmation. The reality is, women seek emotional stimulation and emotional uncertainty. Not drama, but depth is her hidden vulnerability. She'll never say it out loud, but when you become emotionally unavailable, not out of bitterness, but discipline, she feels it in her core. So next time she pulls away, don't pursue, don't beg. Let her feel the weight of your absence. And if she comes back, she'll come back to a man who's not scared to walk away, because the moment you stop needing her is the moment she begins needing you. 2. Her need for validation is her silent struggle. Do you know anything about her tendency to seek out compliments? Thinking things like, do I look nice in this? Would you say that you still love me? I bet you just ignored it. I found it endearing. Avoiding harm. Perhaps you entertained the idea that she was merely being playful. Something more profound is going on, though, underneath that grin. See, there's a young girl hiding behind every strong lady. She remains an unanswered question. She has a hidden weakness, and that is it. Because it would make her feel weak, she will never admit that she craves validation. A lot of males believe that women don't require reassurance. Those that exude an air of self-assurance, confidence, and audacity are particularly noteworthy. My friend, I'll spill the beans on something that the masses will never get. She secretly desires validation more than she looks confident. This is not due to her manipulative nature, not because she seeks attention from every male alive, but because society, love, and occasionally pain have taught her to bury her sensitivity beneath a mask. Return with me. Do you recall how she lighted up the first time you said, "I'm proud of you"? The way her eyes softened when you remarked, "You're beautiful," not just in looks, but in soul? That wasn't simply thankfulness. That was her inner kid finally feeling seen. However, the sad twist is this. When you shower her with validation without working for it, it becomes hollow and unearned. She is not interested in receiving continual praise. She would prefer earned praise than something as insincere as a participation medal. Do you constantly compliment her on her beauty? Eventually, she quits believing it. not because she doesn't appreciate you. However, she truly desires to gain your respect rather than merely bask in your uncritical admiration. That is why the man who confronts her, who doesn't take her attractiveness for granted, who looks past her surface qualities and into her character is the one who lingers in her thoughts. Selfies posted by women may easily garner hundreds of likes. However, that one guy who remains silent, for hours she will dwell on him, because that man isn't easy. He is frugal with what he perceives as valuable, though. He possesses the requisite emotional intelligence to understand that genuine and uncommon affirmation carries greater weight. So the next time she wants to get someone's stamp of approval, stay warm, keep an eye on her. Additionally, it should not be distributed like sweets. As an alternative, try making eye contact and saying something sincere. Some news that jolts her. When you kept your ego in check, you appeared stronger. Quit being a braggart. You possess a quality that the majority of women lack. Speak to her soul as well as her ears. Why? Because when she realizes she can't get approval from you, she becomes frustrated. Her regard for you will begin to grow. When a lady appreciates you, what happens next? Her love grows stronger at that moment. At that point, she begins to pursue you in ways you never imagined imaginable. 3. Her past trauma shapes her present desires. How about I ask you a personal question? Do you remember a time when you were in love with a lady and she made you feel like you belonged, but then she suddenly distanced herself? Just for a second, she's all kind and welcoming, as if someone else were wearing her flesh. One minute she's icy and aloof. You are the one to blame. What went wrong? You ask yourself. However, sometimes you're not even trying to argue with her. You're battling with her history. Even the strongest women, the majority of women, bear unseen scars. Your relationship takes a hit as a result of those wounds. Somebody has wounded her. In the wake of his eternal vow, the guy vanished. Because of the absent father, she was deceived by her pal. She was conditioned to believe that in order to be liked, she needed to be flawless by the mainstream society. You strode in after that. You gave her a place to stay, your company, and perhaps even affection without conditions. However, what slipped your mind was love. Genuine love might terrify her more than betrayal ever could. Why? Because treachery. It's nothing new for her. Still, visibility? To be loved really without facades, without pretense? She finds that terrifying. The tenet of Stoicism is the practice of non-judgmental acceptance of reality. And the thing is, my sibling, you are solely responsible for your reaction to her suffering, not the event itself. Here are 2 options for you. You are free to take offense to her barriers. You may also realize that those walls were already there before you didn't even exist. Furthermore, dismantling them is not your responsibility, because she knows she can trust you to remain unflappable when she is around you. She lowers them herself. Ever notice how certain ladies put you through your paces? Disagreements are their weapon of choice. To test if you'll pursue, they suddenly draw away. Their silence is a test of your resolve. This isn't a toy. It's a way to protect yourself. Is abandonment something you're planning to do to me? Most guys, however, do not pass that examination. Their pursuit is relentless. They grovel. In their reaction, they go too far. Their actions validate her worst nightmare. No man can handle me. Not you, though. At least not at the moment. The unmoved figure is a Stoic. Although he is aware of her triggers, he remains unaffected. He carries himself with an air of cool confidence rather than haughtiness. Just because he gets it, he isn't the only object of her ebb and flow. The story revolves around the wounds that she has yet to fully mend. The next time she starts to act distant, then calm down, preserve area. Your silence should resound more than her tempest. Simply said, there are moments when the most impactful thing you can do for a woman should remain. Do not pursue, will not repair, do not resolve. Stay put, emotionally stable, inwardly strong. Plus, the moment she sees that you're different from the others who fled, her heart starts to open at that point. Never mind that you coerced it, that is, until she feels secure enough to let it flourish, of course. 4. She can't resist a man who's unaffected. May I ask you an honest question? Before, have you ever pleaded with someone to remain? Have you ever been on the edge of your seat, anxiously waiting for a response that never arrived while holding your phone? Trying to convince yourself that maybe she's just busy, maybe she'll come around. Moreover, what's worse, she seemed increasingly cold and uncaring as your concern grew. It seemed as if your feelings turned her away rather than attracting her. As a child, you were never informed this harsh reality. Excessive neediness is repulsive. Charm is contagious. Similar to how a lion can detect fear, a woman can smell despair. Her attraction begins to deteriorate the moment she perceives your emotional need on her, that you need her to feel complete, regardless of how much she liked you before. It has nothing to do with her lack of empathy. This is due to her innate desire to find a partner who can stand on his own 2 feet. Consider this. What is it about the enigmatic man that attracts women? The one who keeps to themselves, who doesn't show emotion, who doesn't appear unshakable. That man exudes an air of emotional mastery. Plus, the allure of emotional control is undeniable for feminine types. This is the very definition of a man's vitality. This is what the Stoics teach. He who angers you controls you. Loved too? He who needs her loses her. Return with me. Some time ago, she may have put you to the test. Pulled back. Posted something controversial online. Reacted chilly. Postponed her responses. And you reacted in a state of terror. You got 2 texts in one. You inquired as to the nature of the problem. What she failed to clarify was the problem you attempted to resolve. She believed she could control your feelings at that very time. After that change in dynamics occurs, it's not easy to retrieve. However, picture this. She withdraws her hand, and you do nothing. No need to pursue. Nothing is clarified. You simply are. So you hit the gym, aim straight toward the stars. You don't speak out of arrogance, but rather a place of tranquility. That stillness? The noise level is very high. I mean, she's starting to wonder now. Why doesn't he respond? How come he isn't pleading? Is he different now? The situation changes at that point. She has a secret vulnerability, you know. Although she values emotional detachment, she yearns for emotional strength, not inhumane, avoiding deceit. I desire you, yet I am not dependent on you. This is the calm strength I'm talking about. Not because they're nasty, but because they want to know that they can trust you. Women are always putting guys to the test. Her question is, when I lose my bearings, will you be able to keep yours? Thus going forward, find peace amidst her mayhem. Stand firm, not swept away. Instead of being the one that suddenly erupts and dies, be the one that burns slowly. For the simple reason that the unaffected man, in her moments of alone, he occupies her thoughts. Even when she stops receiving his texts, he remains the one who occupies her thoughts. And she'll secretly covet him, no matter how much she denies it. 5. Her desire to submit is hidden behind her independence. Allow me to pose a question that may surprise you. When a woman told you, I don't need a man, have you ever dated her and felt that she really needed someone to lead? Hold and protect her? Doesn't it make no sense? Her stride exudes self-assurance, takes care of her own expenses, deals with issues independently. If she looks at you, she could even mutter, I've got this. However, there is something that no one ever really says. She wants to let go more covertly the more self-reliant she seems, not due to her lack of strength, due of her exhaustion nevertheless. It's been much too long since she was responsible for everything. She may not be vocal about it, but deep down she is pleading for someone to step up and be the leader in her life. But most males make the following mistake. They want to out-nurture her after seeing a powerful lady. They soften, passive, overly accommodating, wondering she isn't looking for a dominating man. Emotional support is what she seeks. Oh, I see. No more emotional reflections, please. She is seeking difference. What she really wants is for a guy to see her strength and yet say, soak it all in. I understand. For a second, I'll put you in her shoes. Failure has betrayed her in the past, by guys who were full of themselves yet couldn't keep their weight in check. Men who gave in to peer pressure, sought approval from others, or were incapable of taking charge of themselves, much less her. Therefore, she is now capable of protecting herself on her own. This she wears like a shield. However, her secret vulnerability is this. She wishes she could finally feel secure enough to give up, in a manner that restores her femininity, not one that diminishes her. And genuine masculine energy is the only thing that can induce that type of release. Too feminine. Not haughty, nevertheless commanding command. Being consistent when you enter her life, when you show initiative without expecting praise, when you assert yourself without dominating, when you guide without bragging. For the first time, she begins to let out a breath. Simply put, she is no longer burdened by the weight of everything. Has it ever occurred to you why she grew distant in previous relationships? Perhaps it's because at her core, she never felt safe enough to rely on her partner. Despite his claims of might, he capitulated in the face of her challenge. Claiming to be a leader, he froze up whenever things got chaotic. She chose to remain in her manly form. Eventually, the couple's relationship ended. Until she finds a guy who can keep her warm without being burnt, though. Whoever says you're not alone anymore is a guy. Ways she hasn't melted in years will happen. Not because you were able to weaken her. However, you were able to give her a better foundation to rely in because you respected it. Keep this in mind. At the heart of every fiercely autonomous woman's story is a kind spirit longing for a mate who can tenderly guide her toward a more feminine side. Become that guy. Her memory of you will last forever. 6. Emotional attention means more than physical attraction. What about I ask you something serious? Have you ever been in a relationship when the lady looked completely absorbed in you, laughing, holding your hand and responding quickly to your texts, and then she simply vanished? A little quarrel, no resolution, silence and frigid space, and you find yourself asking, wasn't everything going swimmingly? How did things shift? I will inform you. You paid attention to appearances but disregarded substance. You believed that just physically being there was sufficient. Looks, dates, and maybe even sex were all you believed constituted attraction. However, her hidden flaw is this: more than physical proximity, she longs for emotional attention. A woman's body might react to physical touch, but her spirit, where does her heart lie? That can only be open to a guy who sees her spiritually, fully, and honestly. Little do the majority of guys know it. They follow her everywhere she goes without stopping to consider why she is silent. Her stunning good looks belie the anguish in her voice, which goes unnoticed. My brother, that is also... This is the point at which she becomes uninterested. A tale awaits you. Amir was the name of the man. He was charismatic, powerful, and had all the right stuff. She was a girl he dated, Aisha. She radiated vitality, brimming with life and determination. Their dates were picture perfect. Uploaded images, made a splash on Instagram. Everyone thought they were couple goals. Secretly, though, she was breaking down, concerned about her professional future, conquering nervousness, heavily considering her value. On the outside, she never revealed it. In her late-night texts, she hinted to things like, "At times I wonder if I'm falling short." Or perhaps she needed to just sit quietly and wait for him to inquire, "What's truly bothering you?" Strangely, Amir never did. He felt he could get away with only buying her flowers, gushing about her good looks and really being there. It was not. Additional blossoms weren't necessary. She was in need of company. For the things she couldn't express, she needed an ear. She finally departed, not for someone more affluent or more attractive. However, for someone who could embrace her hand, accompany her in quiet contemplation, and utter the words, "I see you." A lady will give her body to a lot of people, you know. However, she will only surrender her soul to a guy who perceives the tempest lurking under her grin. You need to grow into that kind of man. The guy who pays attention to everything around him, not only words. That one guy who picks up on her "I'm okay" lies. Who remains composed and doesn't hasten to correct. Who instead of lecturing says, "Tell me more." Such caring for the heart? That is closeness. That's what bonds her to you on a level no one else can access. And here's her secret. If you can hold her emotionally, she'll offer you everything, mind, body, and loyalty. So quit hunting validation. Provide a presence now. She isn't weak when it comes to attention. Everyone is getting it. 7. She's drawn to men who walk away from drama. Allow me to pose a torturous inquiry to you. Do you know what it's like to be in a relationship when you're stuck with a woman who can't stop arguing? No matter how little the issue, eventually she'll be perfect in every way. A moment later, she's icy, bringing charges, conducting experiments, ensnaring you in turbulent emotional experiences that sapped your energy. Just because she is as she is, you told yourself. Perhaps she will cease if I adore her more intensely, yet things deteriorated as you continued to participate. Now we get to the harsh reality. She prefers a partner who can soar above her anarchy, rather than one who becomes a part of it. It's a secret vulnerability of hers. The lack of stability that she is unable to produce feeds her secret addiction. Allow me to elucidate. Love can become synonymous with strife for some women, particularly those who were raised in homes where emotional instability was common. It lacks authenticity until it's passionate. She begins to question your sincerity if you don't pursue, apologize, or prove, so she starts arguments. Tests are her specialty. She intentionally irritates you so that you'll lose your composure. However, things shift at this point. The Stoic man is unmoved. A voiceless man he is. He remains silent. Without drama, he is unable to function. He merely departs. From a position of strength, not weakness. Reason being, if a lady loves you, she will worry more about you being upset than she would about you being physically absent. Zishan is the name of the individual I want to tell you about. He dated a stunning, intelligent, and perpetually agitated female. There was always something fresh to deal with, battle, or test each week. At first, he attempted to resolve the issue, attempted to demonstrate his affection by rational discourse. However, the situation was only made worse. As he stood up, met her gaze, and spoke one day after yet another breakdown, "I will be here when you are ready to speak like a grown-up. Until then, I will not proceed with this." He then departed. Keep quiet. Nothing to be ashamed of. Calm down. No more than a serene presence followed by some space. And finally, after months of trying, she gave in. For her part, she expressed regret. I pondered. Revealed genuine frailty. Given her realization, he was not going to aggressively pursue her. He would remain only provided she acknowledged his tranquility. My brother, it is her secret flaw. She may act aggressively in her pursuit of your attention, but her true desire is to feel emotionally controlled by you. Your private life isn't for sale, she wants you to know that. So you may observe her tempest without being consumed by it. She changes the instant you no longer emotionally participate with her drama. In order to match your level of calm, on the other hand, she may just walk away, ending a love that was never harmonious. Keep this in mind. The volume of your arguments does not reflect your power. The key is to quietly remove yourself from situations that disturb your serenity. Furthermore, to a lady who is sick of wreaking havoc on her own, whoa, that silence, those inactions, I can't think of anything more beautiful than it. 8. Her insecurity makes her attracted to status, not just looks. I need to ask you something straight out. I don't think I'm unattractive, and I treat women properly. So why does she want the guy who hardly pays attention to her? Or perhaps you've been crushed seeing her focus solely on the man who's unfairly treating her, and you know deep down that you're inadequate. You begin to wonder if you're being overly friendly. Perhaps I should alter my identity. What no one tells you, though, is this. Appearances aren't everything. It's all about your self-presentation. A woman's secret flaw, which she will never confess, is this. Men who exude authority, purpose, and direction captivate her in a subtle way. I am not referring about material possessions like costly clothing or automobiles. What I mean is an internally radiating type of status. My destination is clear. What I'm doing will transcend my own existence. Nobody can stop me now. To what end is that so effective? For the simple reason that the majority of women, even the most self-assured ones, suffer from profound psychological insecurities. If they're likable or not, they question. If they are secure, if there is purpose to their lives, and when she encounters a guy who appears to be secure in himself, no one knows his objective. Everyone wants to be validated, right? He represents strength and stability to her. She is loath to take the lead in their relationship. She isn't interested in starting from the ground up to create a romantic partner. Standing behind someone who's already making a name for themselves is something she aspires to. Allow me to relate a little tale. There lived a reserved man by the name of Adil. He was quiet. He lacked ostentation. However, he was prepared. Late into the night, he toiled away at his business. To maintain his sharpness, not to make an impression, he remained at the gym. In his spare time, he didn't go out, post, or pursue women. Except for one woman who paid him no mind. Who is that one? She has dated ostentatious men in the past. Those people were shallow. They chatted a lot and flexed often. Something was new for her with Adil. Stillness. Pay attention. Main goal. And for what reason? She felt a sense of security. It drew her to him even if she didn't understand why. Energized males tend to attract more attractive ladies. What about the vitality of a man on the move? Playing it over and again becomes continence. In light of that, allow me to explain. Put an end to stressing over your jawline. Become concerned about your course of action. Simply said, when you go about your day with a clear goal in mind, when you work quietly but relentlessly to create your empire, the ladies take note. Regardless of whether they express their disapproval or remain silent, someone senses it. And the reality is, if a guy leads himself, her heart will follow. So the next time you ask why she picked him, consider the following questions. Ask yourself, am I exuding encouragement for expansion? Or am I just standing there, Your physical appearance isn't the source of her biggest insecurity. The key is to determine if you can evoke in her a sense of purpose, greater than herself. In such case, are you able to? She will pursue you in ways you can't even begin to imagine. She pretends to be over you but hurts in silence. Allow me to pose a question that might sting a little. When your relationship ended, did she ever act as if it hadn't happened? No sobs, end of the line. She appeared happier than ever in a few of Instagram stories. But other than that, there was complete quiet. Damaged, you sat there, considering, did she value me at all? Why is she able to go on so quickly when I'm here about to die? But I'll tell you something nobody likes to hear. You are still on her mind. All she's doing is acting more convincingly than you could. Hidden among her many flaws, and maybe the most human of them all, is this. She puts on an act to mask her pain. Women are emotional animals. They let their emotions guide every decision when they love. When does that love end? Something profound within her. Shattering. However, the catch is, a lot of ladies won't let you see their agony. That kind of fulfillment won't come from them. No resolution will be provided by them. But instead, they'll be all smiles throughout the day and all sobs when night falls. Images of new beginnings will be posted by them as they tremble through old texts. All they really want is to be held by you for another moment. But they'll act as if they're mending, since what matters most to her? Recognizing her continued need for you is like giving up control. She decided to bury it. To hide her real self, she puts on her cosmetics. Instead of contacting you, she hangs out with her buddies. Maybe I can stop feeling it if I pretend for long enough, she thinks herself. About Ramiz and Noor, I will tell you. It was love at first sight. The ideal pair that had everyone cheering for them. However, their breakup was quick, nasty, and perplexing. She stood in his way, going nowhere. He reflected, she didn't value me at all. What, however, was he unaware of? She read his last texts over and again every night. She listened to music that brought back memories of their first date. All day long she would grin, yet when no one was looking, she would crumble. She confided in a friend 6 months later. I hadn't told him how much I loved him. However, I was too afraid to reveal it. I was afraid he would perceive me as feeble. My brother, it is the key. That she has healed is not indicated by her quiet. Even with her new boyfriend, she isn't pleased. She hasn't forgotten despite her distance. Her pain remains unspoken. She still cares, but if she admits it, gets you in the mood to give up. However, if improvement is your goal, leave that past self in the dust. Stay away from rehashing past grudges. Stay true to what you had instead. The agony is real. Allow it to shape who you are. And get up. When she finds out you've leveled up, she'll be jealous. Upon seeing your recovery, personal growth, and newfound sense of purpose, at that point she will speak up. Regrettably rather than verbally. Therefore, if you're grieving and asking whether she ever gave a damn, yeah, she totally did. Perhaps more than what was apparent. Yet loving you wasn't her Achilles heel. She still does, but she's too chicken to admit it. 10. Her greatest fear is losing a man who knows her deeply. Come on, I have to ask you this. When you're alone at night, have you ever looked a lady in the eyes, not during intercourse or a joke, but just for a minute of peace and quiet? So you experienced it? If you had seen her. Not only the one she presents to the outside world. Behind all the fences, though, is a tiny girl. Her anxiety. It was her uncertainties. Never does she speak aloud about her dreams. Everyone who has ever experienced true love knows that feeling. And this is something that the majority of guys fail to grasp. More than anything else, that moment terrifies her. Because getting to know her in that way, completely unfiltered, you start to pose a threat. I don't think it's because you'll physically harm her. The reason being, what happens if you depart? Leaving her life isn't as simple as that. Parts of her spirit leave your body when you go. Oh, and that's where her true vulnerabilities lie. You know, ladies may act like they've moved on. New partnerships can blossom for them, laughing it up at social events and posting flawless selfies online. They can even claim, I'm better without him. But what about the one thing that just won't be replaced? A guy who loved them despite seeing through their lies. That is unusual. Respect that. A tale awaits you. Zoya was the name of a girl. No nonsense, self-reliant, and never let go. No one had ever gotten her in her previous relationships. Salman was next. He went above and above by praising her. He grasped her meaning. She clenched her jaw when she was nervous, and he saw it. Her inability to speak up, when she felt overwhelmed, was due to her fear of appearing insensitive. rather than a lack of concern. He was non-judgmental, fixed nothing. He remained put. There is, rock solid, paying attention. She had never felt so secure in being completely acknowledged before. However, they separated, as do many stories. Nothing to do with treachery. Tragically, though, real life intervened. Timing was off. The gap widened. Despite her best efforts, no one else could compare. Why? Since all the men who came after him just viewed her exterior. She had felt Selman's soul contact hers. Ladies are afraid of losing it, my friend. That guy doesn't have a jawline, but he was the one who gave her the confidence to be herself. So, if you're the type of man who loves women for more than just their appearance, for who they truly are when no one is looking, your name stays with her. Perhaps she will never say it. Her return might be her last. A part of her, nevertheless, will be yours forever. Simply said, in a society where males are after her body, her heart was held by you. The next item she discovers won't be the same. That authority shouldn't resent you. Accept it as a chance to grow. Use it as a reminder of the sort of man you are capable of becoming. An attentive hearer, the one in charge, a witness. What if, instead of becoming that man for her, you do it for yourself? Nothing will come your way but love. Your impact will be felt far and wide. With that said, thanks for watching, and until next time.